The first of the Hijjah of every year is a date that has its importance to the people of Mecca. It is the day on which the ceremony of delivering the covering of the Kaaba to the keepers of the Kaaba is performed. Whereas on the 9th of this same month, the day of standing in Arafah witnesses the taking down of the old covering and dressing the Kaaba in its new cover. The Kaaba covering is made every year and is considered the most important aspect of reverence and honor to the sacred house of God. The history of the covering of the Kaaba is associated with the history of the Kaaba itself. That is why Muslims are concerned with it and with its manufacturing and perfection, and they race to win this great honor. Some stories say that Ismail, peace be upon him, is the first person who covered the Kaaba. Other stories go to say that the first person to cover it is Adnan, the grandfather of the Prophet, peace be upon him. But what is historically confirmed is that the king of Himyar is the first person to cover the Kaaba, 220 years before the noble hijrah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Nabila bint Habab, the mother of Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, was the first woman to cover the Kaaba in pre-Islamic times, and she had vowed to do so. In the year 1346 Hijri, 1926 Gregorian, King Abdulaziz Al Saud, may Allah rest his soul in peace, has issued a royal order to build Al-Qura factory that specializes in the making of the covering of the Kaaba, and he brought for it the most skillful technicians and efficient workers. The factory was opened in the middle of the same year and started manufacturing the covering of the Kaaba. With the rapid progress in the art of weaving and textile industry, the late King Faisal bin Abdulaziz issued his order to renovate the existing factory in Al-Jud region in Mecca al-Mukarramah in the year 1392 Hijri, 1972 Gregorian, when the custodian of the two holy mosques, the late King Fahd bin Abdulaziz, who was the crown prince at the time, laid the foundation stone for the new factory, and it was opened under his auspices after 5 years with a cost reaching 20 million Saudi riyals. The factory started its first production through 3 sections. They are the belt section, the manual weaving section, and the dyeing section. What you see before you now is a part of the belt of the Kaaba, which is comprised of 16 interconnected pieces forming the total circumference, as mentioned before, 47 meters, and the height is 95 centimeters as so. We will witness firsthand some workers in the belts department. Firstly, the worker applies cotton strings with different densities. Then the strings are covered by silver and golden strings, eventually forming a detailing with an inscription on the surface of the textile, reaching a height of 2 centimeters. And this is difficult to do by machine, so it has to be done manually. And through several developmental stages, 3 other sections were added to it. They are the mechanized weaving, the printing, and the internal curtain. 214 highly qualified, highly trained, and experienced Saudi workers work in it. The factory is under the supervision of the General Presidency of the Holy Mosque and the Prophet's Mosque Affairs. The production of the factory includes the following products: the manufacturing of black silk, the manufacturing of white and green fabric, the manufacturing of the curtain of the Prophet's room, the manufacturing of the outer covering of the Kaaba, the manufacturing of other fabrics, and the manufacturing of different pieces of gifts for pilgrimage. The covering of the Kaaba is implemented in several stages. The first stage is the dyeing. The dyeing section is provided with the finest and best types of natural silk in the world. It is acquired in the form of strings covered with a layer of natural gum. It is dyed in two stages. The first stage is the removal of the gum. It takes place in hot basins containing olive oil soap and some chemical substances. Then it is washed with water several times until it returns to its snow-white color. This is followed by the dyeing, which takes place in hot basins where the required dyes are mixed. The dyes used here are black for the outer covering of the Holy Kaaba and green for the internal covering. The second stage is the weaving. During this stage, the silky hanks are stacked before wrapping them on the wrapping machine. This is done by laying the lengthwise of the strings of the material beside each other on a cylinder. Then the first edges of these strings are passed through the wires of special combs related to the textile looms. As for the cross strings, they are wound on special spools and they are fixed inside a shuttle, which moves through the lengthwise strings to form the weave, which takes its way to the manual and mechanized weaving. This is followed by the third stage, which is the designing stage. Here, the designer prepares studies for the decorations and lines of Islamic art. Then the studied designs are put to draw fine and accurate drawings in the required space, and then it is inked and colored. The designs include decorations and embroidered writings on the belt and the curtain, and also the weave decorations that are implemented on jacquard fabrics for the external and internal coverings. That's followed by the fourth stage, which is the printing stage, and it is done where the textile is prepared. The printing process consists of two strong wooden ribs facing each other, on which the raw fabric is stretched and fastened. Then, the plain black silk material is fixed upon it, on which the belt of the covering and the curtain of the door of the Kaaba are printed. All the embroideries and printing are made by silk screen. Then, the design to be printed is moved to a very black transparent plastic to become negative film. Then this film is photographed and transferred to the chaplon silk. Then it is printed. Now the chaplon, the printing mold, is ready to transfer the design onto the fabric. The fifth stage is described as sensitive because it is the embroidering stage, and it is a more delicate stage than the others. It needs high artistic technique, where all these lines and decorations are embroidered by hand using silver and gold wires, and then they are gathered and embroidered above it with compressed strings of yellow and white cotton. The writing and decoration is embossed on the surface of the fabric, and this process is done by hand. These stages are carried out under the laboratory that measures the degree of color stability regarding sweat, the degree of thickness of the fabric, the degree of the strength of the string or fabric, the degree of the fabric's fire resistance, the degree of friction, and the degree of color stability against washing. The covering of the Kaaba is an honor that the kingdom was privileged with. It became a mission to its people and mastered by the factory's workers, technicians, and engineers in order to produce by expert Saudi hands the finest covering of the Kaaba. They have proven that they obtained this great honor through their capability and ability to make the covering of the sacred house of God. The covering of the Kaaba used to be done twice or 3 times annually, before the kingdom undertook this task, as the material that was used to make it wasn't strong enough to keep it on for the whole year. Contrary to that, now, after the progress that occurred in the making of the covering, it became possible to remain one whole year without suffering any damage.